Welcome back to Networking Unleashed Building Profitable Connections, the podcast where we turn relationships into revenue and conversations into catalysts for growth. Today's guest is someone who embodies the power of the pivot and value of smart connection.
Mm.
She's a real estate professional who's just not embracing AI, she's using it to serve her clients more meaningfully. She's navigated major career shifts, uncovered the hidden cost of burnout, and now helps others to do the same with purpose and precision. In this conversation, we'll unpack how to leverage AI for client connection, how to build the kind of network that supports transformation, and how to recognize when your relationships or your routines are pushing you towards burnout. Whether you're shifting industries, sharpening your communication game, or simply looking to build smarter, stronger connections, this episode is for you. Now, I'd like to welcome Deanna to all of my listeners, both of them. No, I'm only kidding. I'd like to welcome you to the podcast. How are you, Deanna?
I'm fantastic, Michael. How are you?
I am doing just fine. Why don't you give us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I am a corporate professional turned real estate broker, investor, and consultant. I currently reside in the metro Atlanta area, and my big passion around real estate really stems from my servant's heart and building community. Real estate really allows me to do exactly that. I'm passionate about education. I'm passionate about just making sure folks achieve the goals that they want to achieve in real estate. So I'm super excited to be here with you, Michael, and looking forward to the conversation.
That's great. And you said something just in telling me what your background is, that you're approaching all this with a servant's heart.
Absolutely.
And that is the mainstay of networking today. It's going into networking with a servant's heart. And I'm sure we're going to get into that later on. But
Mm.
let's dive into the questions. Let's talk a little real estate.
Sure.
How can real estate professionals use AI not just to find leads, but to
Mm.
build deeper, more authentic relationships with clients and referral partners?
Yes, that's a great question. And I love that question because AI is this new beast of technology that's out there right now that everybody is scrambling and trying to figure out how to best use it in their business, but at the same time, still be as authentic and real as we can. See AI as being a resource and not necessarily the source or the voice of my communication with my client and the broader community. How I'm using AI today in my business is I have different ideas around content. I use social media a lot. I post a lot of videos, and a lot of my videos are educating the community around all things real estate and some other lifestyle things too. But I use AI to really help me expand upon the ideas that I have in my head and how best to craft the language so that I'm able to communicate those ideas most effectively to the community. So that's just one simple way how I'm using AI to support my clients build, like you said, those deeper relationships, as well as attract more people to me who find value in what I'm putting out there in social media.
So what you're saying is that you use AI as a tool,
Yes,
as one of your resources. It's
that's right.
not the all-knowing, let me just replace everybody AI. It's a tool that you use and you use it quite effectively, I might add.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
So let's just move this to, you mentioned social media,
Yes.
but how can professionals cut through the clutter to build
Mhm.
meaningful networks, especially when pivoting into a new industry or role?
Oh, that's a great question too. I would say I'll just use my own personal story and example. I was in corporate for 25 plus years. I worked for a lot of different organizations, a lot of Fortune 500 organizations, and I kind of shifted and pivoted out of that world into now in real estate as a entrepreneur. I've always wanted to own my own business and kind of do my own thing independently. But for me, that pivot was surrounding myself with people who were already in the space where I wanted to be. So making sure that I was strategic and intentional about visiting different networking groups, attending different masterminds, attending different webinars and classes where those people were already. And then just making sure I gleaned as much knowledge from them, as much knowledge from the different masterminds, and as much knowledge from the workshops and the environment that I was in to really determine whether this pivot in this direction was really the right pivot for me. But also just learning from the people in the room. So I would say you got to put yourself in the rooms where you want to really be, network, and grow.
Okay, you said something which sparked a lot of interest from me. You mentioned strategic networking.
Yes.
Now, can you explain what
Yeah.
strategic networking is as opposed to what the norm would be?
So the normal, when people go out and network, the normal the normal thing that most people do is they will attend a networking event. They might get invited, they might see it on Eventbrite, and they will go and attend. They'll bring their business cards, and they're just meeting people and handing out business cards and just giving people their maybe 10 or 20-second sales pitch, trying to essentially sell to them. What strategic networking is you want to be selective and intentional about the networking events that you do attend. When you get there, have a plan and a strategy already in your head. If you I would say for me in real estate, I want to connect with mortgage brokers, I want to connect with other agents, I want to connect with referral partners like maybe family attorneys, divorce attorneys. So if I meet somebody in the room that kind of fit in those particular pockets and industries, I'm really being intentional about making sure I introduce myself, getting their contact information, them getting mine. But then once we've left the networking event, maybe the next day or 2 days after, I'll reach out to them and say something like, "Hey, it was great meeting you at such and such event. I'd love to connect over coffee to see number one, I want to learn more about your business and potentially see if there might be a synergy opportunity for us to help each other build and grow." That is strategic networking. That is building relationships, but it's also you are going into that coffee meetup, Zoom meeting, or lunch with a mindset of understanding their business, seeing how you can best help them. And naturally, people are going to ask you about your business. They're going to ask you how they can help you. So it is definitely a give and take. It is not a, hey, here's everything that I do and here's what I can do for you. That is not networking. You have to be strategic from the time you select exactly where you're gonna go, who you want to meet when you get there, and then what you're gonna do post attending the networking event.
So in other words, you don't go willy-nilly.
No,
You never prepare for a networking meeting. You just go and just see what happens. Is that just the way it is? No.
no, you don't do that at all.
Okay. All right. I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure. Okay. Role did your network play in helping you pivot successfully? And
Mhm.
what advice would you give someone who is afraid to ask for help when
Mm.
shifting careers or industries?
Oh my goodness. So we currently live in Metro Atlanta, my family and I. But before that, we lived in North Carolina for about 5 or so years. I made the decision to pivot into real estate before we moved here to Atlanta. When we were selling our house in North Carolina, our real estate agent, she was amazing. I was asking her all kinds of questions before I got into this space. One of my former colleagues at Lowe's had also left corporate and started her own real estate business. So I reached out to her. There was another colleague of ours at Lowe's that did the same thing. So I did my research. I did my research. And then when I got here to Atlanta, I did my research on the market here in Atlanta. I did my research on the different other brokerages here. I did my research on the different best schools that I need to attend here, cost, and all of that. So I did my research and I talked to people who are already in the space where I was seeking to be, and then determined from there what my next step would be. To your second question, to those folks who have an issue and or are hesitant or have a hard time asking for help, that used to be me. That used to be me. What I would tell you is that you can't really do it all by yourself. You really can't. You need support around you. You need good mentors. You need peers who are in the same boat as you, supporting you, helping you grow. You need to involve yourself in masterminds. You'll learn a lot that way. So you cannot do it all by yourself. I would highly encourage folks who struggle with that. Take baby steps. Maybe start reaching out to peers. Hey, how are you doing this? Or is this working for you? Or I'm doing this. Do you know about anything that could maybe make that easier, more efficient, more cost effective for me, right? Just simply asking questions. Those are baby steps. Just ask questions just to understand and then figure out if that information is going to be effective for you and helping you in my case, build your business, grow your business, expand your business, things like that. You got to ask for help. We can't do it alone.
I went to the school of hard knocks. I
Mhm.
learned how to do everything wrong before I learned how to do it correctly. By you asking your confidants, your cohorts in crime, you're
Mhm.
asking the ways that they did it. They may have done it the wrong way, and they say, "Look, I did it that way, but
Yeah,
I did it wrong. I made a mistake. I should have done this."
that's
So
right.
you've jumped that module already, and you are already saying, "Okay, look, she did it that way. I don't
Mhm.
have to do it that way. I could do it this way," and you can get ahead that much faster. But
Absolutely.
I'm glad that you said education is such a big part. The masterminds are such a big part. And most of all, it's you hiring a mentor or somebody that will help you along with the travel that you're taking who's already
Mhm.
been through it. They've already
That's
been through
right.
it. So
That's
they can
right.
see, yeah. Okay,
So
very
important.
good. Very good. What should professionals be doing right now to future proof their networking strategies using AI tools?
Future proof their networking strategies using AI tools. I would say number one, learn how to use AI. There are so many platforms out there, and it can be overwhelming. I have taken upon myself to take a class on AI, just really trying to upskill that area, that technology platform for myself. And I think that's the first step. And then once you determine how you can really effectively use AI, because there's so many ways that you can use it, just really figuring out what's the best way and most effective way to use it in your business, because it's going to be different for everybody. If I think about real estate, I'm not going to probably use AI to show up at my listing appointments and pitch the seller in working with me as their listing agent. No, that's not going to fly. A robot or a piece of technology cannot do that. But what I will use AI for is helping me craft a more attractive, effective listing description for a seller's property that's going to draw more eyes to it, that's going to make it more dynamic, that's going to make it more compelling and appealing to an agent or a prospective buyer that's maybe, searching on Zillow for different properties. I want a listing description that is going to pop. I would say business professionals should definitely learn AI. That's number one. Number two, understand the depth and breadth of it and how you can use it either in your business or in your even your job role. And then figuring out from there how to really use it effectively, because it's not a one size fits all. And you don't want it to essentially become you or be your voice. You want to still be authentic and real in how you use it.
Absolutely. And there's an expression, garbage in, garbage out, right?
That's right.
So you have to learn the proper prompts that you
Yes.
have to use when asking, let's say, ChatGPT. There's a thousand others. I'm just using ChatGPT because that's well known. But you have to, if you just say something and you just put something in and say, okay, make it better,
Hmm.
it'll make it more professional, more better. You have to change that prompt so it's more definitive what you're looking for. And so that's what learning AI is all about. It's all about getting exactly what you're looking for. It may take you four or five different prompts to find out what you're looking for, but you'll eventually get it. And the more you do it, the more it will learn and the better you'll be at it.
Let me add also one more thing. I did a video on this a month or so ago. One thing I will caution not only those entrepreneurs, business professionals, just professionals in general, When you are using AI and you are putting prompts and information in AI, definitely be cautious about putting any personal, private, company trade secrets, proprietary information, maybe some ideas and things that you're working on that is not ready for public view and or consumption. Do not put those in AI. That's a great way to also be strategic in how you use it. You want to use it, like we said at the top, you want to use it as a tool and a resource that's going to enhance what you're already trying to convey and or communicate. So very, very important to not put private or personal information, business trade secrets, any new ideas that you are working on that you're not ready to have the public see and or consume. Just be cautious about putting that in there because those conversations aren't private. They are
That,
public.
that's true. And they're going everywhere. They're going
They're going
everywhere.
everywhere. They're going
Right.
everywhere, and the information is being
One
tracked. So,
one thing you said that really resonated with me was when you get your prospective client in the
yes.
home, there's no more chat GPT. There's no more
No,
AI. It's just you. And
that's
so
right.
if you had all these intelligent things that you said to them through an email, that's one thing. But once you get there, you can't, you
That's
know,
correct. That's
okay.
correct.
So it will not replace the agent. The agent must be worth their salt, which I'm sure you
Mhm.
are. You're halfway there. Okay, let's talk about burnout. What are the networking red flags that signal you're headed towards burnout? Like
Ooh,
like draining connections or relationships that no longer serve you.
mm. I would say for me, one of the biggest key indicators for me when I was really feeling burnt out, I just didn't have any energy. I was just exhausted all the time. Didn't want to
So
go nowhere, didn't want to work a full day at work and then go to a networking event in the evening. Just exhausted, just exhausted. You were going to say something, Michael?
yeah, so how'd you get out of that? How'd you get your energy to go on
Yeah.
with your ambitions?
Yeah. For me, I tend to overwhelm myself. And what I mean by that is I have just too many things going on at once. Too many things going on at once. I had to really learn very quickly to say no to things that, like you said, didn't really serve me. I had to really, really get strict with my time. And I had to prioritize that long list of things that I had to do. I had to prioritize it and really break it up. So, identify maybe those top 3 to 5 things that I absolutely had to get done and do that every single day so that I don't feel overwhelmed. And so that I do have enough energy at the end of the day to go to a networking event in the evening or meet up with somebody for coffee in the morning or jump on this Zoom during the lunch hour. So that's what worked for me. Prioritizing, figuring out what top 3 to 5 things I needed to get done every day, saying no, and just making those decisions in how I best facilitated the most efficient use of my time. Those things help me.
Exactly, exactly. You have to develop a routine, okay? A routine that you're going to stick to. Now, I'm going to date myself when I say this,
What?
but in the days of the daytimer, okay? If you
Uh-huh.
remember the daytime, the planner, I would take up a
Oh,
little
yeah.
corner of the book, absolutely. And you
Mhm,
write down the things you had to do. You
mhm,
crossed out the things that you did, but the
mhm.
things you didn't do, you put on to the next day as the top two or three, and you hit
Right.
those first. So you move to today. You have to. I'm heavily involved with a CRM. Okay,
Yeah.
so I look at my tasks every morning and I see what I have to do. Then I
Mhm.
have an hour and a half of what I have to do prospecting. Everything is broken up, but I have a routine. I do the same thing 4 or 5 days out of the week. Besides all my social media posting and podcasting and things like that, it's just a matter of getting routine. When I got it into a routine, a lot of
Mhm.
the pressure came off my shoulders.
Right.
Like, I don't have to think about it. I know I just have to do this. So I think that will really help anybody who's listening is to develop some type of routine.
Yeah. The
Uh,
concept of time blocking really helps support that.
yeah, it does. And I block out an hour and a half every day from 11:30 to 1 every day. What's
Yes, sir.
that? That's my can eat. with my wife, have a sandwich or whatever, and I can just go over emails and do what I have to do. That is my time. And I block it out every day. So that's
Have
another
to
thing.
be, and you have to be strict about it too. You
I
really,
have to be. I wish I was better at it, but I'm working on it. Okay. So, can you share a time when a
Mhm.
single networking connection changed your trajectory and what others can learn from you from how you showed up at that moment?
A time where a single network connection changed my
Besides
trajectory.
meeting me.
I was going to say, meeting you has been definitely a bonus in my life.
Okay,
Um,
thank you.
to really think about this one, I've met so many people. I've met
What
so
major did you get a major transaction out
Mhm.
of a networking event, out of meeting
Yes,
somebody? Okay. Tell me a little bit
yes.
about that.
About 5 years ago, I met a gentleman who was a member of BNI, which stands for Business Networking International. They are a global closed networking referral organization. I met him at another networking event. He invited me to his BNI group, and I had just started in real estate. This was back in 2019, maybe even 2020. I just started in real estate, and I was looking to grow my business. I wanted to grow my business organically through qualified referrals. So he invited me to his meeting, and that's exactly what BNI does. They teach you how to network strategically, and they teach you how to identify your client profile, identify who would be a great qualified referral for you, so on and so forth. Fast forward maybe a year after, not even a year, maybe 6 months after attending that meeting, here I am now forming my own BNI group. And so fast forward 5 years, here I am now almost 6 years in real estate here in Metro Atlanta, doing top producing agent, doing very well. And 99% of my business is 100%, almost 100% referrals. And it's just from that one connection with that gentleman who invited me to his BNI group, my real estate business and my development as a entrepreneur, I can attribute that one connection at that networking event to really where I am today.
Wow, that's perfect. That was
Yes.
absolutely perfect. Very good. And I just and congratulations to that
Thank
person
you.
who introduced you into the proper ways of networking because
Yes.
you wouldn't be where you are today without it.
I
So
would
it's
still
very,
be doing networking wrong
yeah,
if I was not a part of BNI.
it's still going
Truly.
willy-nilly with no prepared. Okay. Okay. So what kind of network do professional women really need to avoid isolation and stay energized,
Mhm.
especially when juggling multiple roles?
Ooh, gosh, this is a tough one.
Specifically, I specifically said women and
Yes,
juggling multiple roles because
right.
everybody knows that guys can't do that.
True. Not true, but I understand what you're saying.
Right.
I would say this is how I do it. I'm a wife, I'm a mom of two, a young adult and a soon to be young adult, or soon to be an adult. And I have things that I want to do for myself, right? But then I also have my clients, I have my business, I have other referral partners. I do things like this on podcasts. I'm spread a bit thin. And I think it just goes back to understanding why you're doing the things that you're doing, really getting intentional about how you spend your time. There's only 24 hours in a day, and there's only one of you, and you have all these hats that you are wearing. I did a video on something similar to this about a month or so ago, and I talked about the importance of doing at least one thing every day for yourself. I live by that. I normally do two things every day for myself because I'm a bit of an overachiever. But I challenged everybody in this video, do at least one thing for yourself, and you'll be amazed at how long how far that can go. And us as women, you're right, we wear a lot of different hats. We have a lot of people leaning on and relying on us, and sometimes we forget, a lot of times we forget to prioritize ourselves, our own health and wellness, our own happiness, our own sanity, right? Our own friendships. our own hobbies and things that we like to do. And I would say to the folks that are listening, do at least one thing every day for yourself. Take that time, whether it's 5 minutes, an hour, 30 minutes, do at least one thing. If that's just sitting in your car for 30 minutes, laying in your bed for 30 minutes before you wake, before you get out of bed, whatever that is, whatever your thing is. For me, it's going and working out. And then the other thing I do almost every day is going and walking every day, 20 minutes outside. Highly encourage people to just do that. Just do that one thing. It goes a long way. It really does.
Does. It does. It does. Very good. And I agree with that because my wife does almost exactly that. Perfect. What's the difference between growing your contacts and growing your community?
Mm,
How do you
big
shift from transactional to transformational networking?
The difference between growing your contacts and growing your community is all about relationship building. You might grab somebody's contact information at a networking event. They may give you their card, and you may not have, they may be in a completely different industry. It is highly unlikely that your paths may even cross again, or highly unlikely that you could add value to their business and vice versa. But you take their contact information, right? That and growing your contacts. Another way to grow your contacts is through social media. People follow you, they connect with you, things like that. But you don't really know them, know them. I feel like community is when you really know the people that you're surrounded by. There are relationships there, deep relationships, deep friendships there. To me, that's really building community. And or you may not necessarily have a deep relationship with that person, but you have something in common that really brings all of you together. To me, that's community versus contacts. You had another
Absolutely.
question for me.
Well, no, absolutely. Before the pandemic, okay, I was in the mortgage business and I was going to networking events. I would come home with a shoebox filled with business cards and say,
Yeah.
look how good I did. And obviously, I didn't do well at all, right? Now, when I coach students or I coach other professionals about how to go and network with a 3 or 4 hour event, I say, don't come back with more than 15 or 20 business cards because you can't follow up with that properly.
That's right.
Now, I have a whole secret sauce for follow ups, but if you don't follow up correctly, you might
Mhm.
as well not even have met them in the first place because it's just going to fall through. Because the
Right.
follow up is so very important. If you don't follow up enough, if you follow up too much, if you don't say the right thing, it's really what you do. It's a mindset. But the follow up is so much more important. Okay, what's one AI tool, one question to ask at a networking event, and one follow up strategy you swear by?
I love ChatGPT. I use it almost every day. I primarily use it to help me build out content ideas that I have in my head for my social media post. And then one question that I typically ask at all networking events is I'll ask people, "Hey, how did you find out about this networking event?" And or I will ask them, "Where else do you network?" That's probably the one question I ask the most. Where else do you network? Because I'm also, again, trying to be strategic in where I go next, what networking events I attend. And you had a third question for me.
No, it just said one follow up strategy and what one that you swear by.
Okay. Follow-up strategy for me, let's say, Michael, I got your card, and let's say you were still in the mortgage business, right? I would reach out to you either via phone or text, and I would say something like this. Hey, Michael, it was great seeing you at, and I would name the event. And I would say something like, hey, it was great seeing you at the local link event. I would love to catch up over coffee if you have time here in the next week or so. Love to connect with you, learn more about what you do, and potentially how we might be able to help each other. And then you will respond. You'll probably say, yeah, I'd love to get together. And then I would literally will align on a date and time, and I will send you a meeting invite. And I do that because I want it to be on your calendar. And I will also follow up with you maybe 1 to 2 days post that event, because if you've been out networking and you've met a lot of different people, collected a lot of different cards, if I wait too long, you're going to forget. It's going to be all a blur. So that's why it's important to reach out to that person the next day or 2 days after. And then once you guys align on a time to meet up and talk more, then you put that meeting invite on their calendar. And then when you get there, you want to ask them a lot of questions. You want them to do a lot of talking. You want to really be interested in them so that you can get a deeper understanding of who they are, what they do, why they chose this industry, what's maybe the top 1 to 2 things that they're focused on right now, who is a ideal client and or referral for them, and make sure you're taking notes. So when you and I met over coffee, I was taking notes because I'm a woman, I got a lot going on, and I can't remember everything. So I write notes down all the time just to help me remember. But you want to make sure that conversation that you have is focused on the individual across the table from you. And then, like I said, naturally, people will ask you, why are you in the business that you're in? Who's a great ideal client or referral partner for you? Where else do you network? What are some top 2 to 3 things that you're working on right now, Deanna? How can I help you? That type of thing. And ideally, best case scenario, you each walk away with a referral from the other person, or you each walk away with a new way of doing things, maybe a book to read, maybe a podcast to follow, something. You walk away with something of value that you can now go and use in your business. And that's really how you network effectively before, during, and after. And that's how you start to build community too. That's how you start to build community and start building those deeper relationships. And it may not happen the next week, the next month, or the next year, but that person's going to remember you, and they're probably going to remember maybe one thing that you said from that conversation, and they may eventually refer somebody to you to work with. You never really know. You don't go in to the conversation expecting to get business from it. You go in with a servant's heart and an open ear so that you can learn more. That's what you're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I always ask my guests
Mhm.
one question.
Yeah,
Okay. Before we end the podcast, before we do anything, I'm going to ask you one question.
sure.
From your entire background, changing into real estate,
Yes.
you're successful now, but were you always successful? So, what's one major mistake that you made and how did you get out of it?
I was not always successful. Anybody who is in real estate will tell you it is the most challenging, one of the most competitive industries and businesses to be in, partly because it's a highly saturated business and industry. I would say 10%, maybe 15% of folks who actually have a license are actually practicing real estate full time and doing it well. It's kind of like that 80/20 rule. I would say for me, when I first started out, I had imposter syndrome like nobody's business. I was new to Atlanta. I've only been here like less than 6 months to a year. And I was comparing myself to people who were born and raised here, lived here forever. They knew where all the great neighborhoods were. They knew everything about everything. They had all the history. So I had to get rid of that imposter syndrome. And the way that I did that was to say, hey, you're literally here less than a year. Yes, you have a learning curve, but over time, you will get to a place where you know where all the good neighborhoods are. You're going to know where all the major cities are in and around Metro Atlanta. And fast forward 3, 4, 5 years later, I do. I do. So that imposter syndrome in any business or any profession or any job is a real thing. And when you are in a very competitive environment like you are in real estate, you really have to check yourself and you really have to check that, because it can definitely derail you and disappoint you and discourage you from keeping going. So that was a big challenge for me early on. It's not a challenge anymore. but it definitely
Okay.
was early on. And I think as you get some wins under your belt, you get a little bit more comfortable, your legs underneath you, and you've gone from crawling, and so now you're walking, your confidence builds up. Your confidence builds up. And so that was one thing early on that I struggled with, but definitely in a good place now.
Good. Good. Okay. Ready to bring this podcast full circle?
Yes, let's do
Okay.
it.
If you could teach every up and coming entrepreneur one
Yes.
truth about building profitable, purpose driven relationships, what
Mm.
would it be?
Be real and authentic and be yourself. Be real, be authentic, be yourself. Because people can spot fakeness a mile away, flakiness
Yes.
a mile away, dishonesty a mile away. I would say be yourself, be real and be authentic. Don't try to be anybody else. Don't try to be who people who you think people want you to be. Be authentically you. Be authentically you.
Very
That was
good.
that
Deanna,
was my advice.
Deanna, I can't tell you what a pleasure this was. I hope all of my listeners felt exactly the same way because Deanna knows her stuff. I kept that PG, by the way. You know your stuff, okay? But if anybody wanted to get hold of you,
Yeah.
either because they have a house they want to sell or
Mhm.
invest or anything like that, would they get hold of you?
There's a couple different ways. You can definitely give me a call, but I would love to have you visit my website. It's deannalindorealty.com. All of my contact information is on there. A lot of great resources for both buyers and sellers. If you are on Instagram, you can find me at Deana Lindo Realtor. You can also find me on LinkedIn at Deana Lindo Realtor. You can find me on TikTok at Deana Lindo. So I'm all over the place. So you can just Google me. I'm there too.
Perfect. Deanna, I can't tell you how great this was having you on, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Michael. It was a pleasure.
Well, hold on, folks. Don't go anywhere. Let's hear from our sponsors. David Neal, co founder, Revved Up Kids. Revved Up Kids is on a mission to protect children and teens from sexual abuse, exploitation, and trafficking. They provide prevention training programs for children, teens, and adults. To learn more, go to revvedupkids.org. Henry Kaplan, Century 21. When it comes to making the biggest financial decision of your life, leave it in the hands of a proven professional, Henry Kaplan. Henry is a global real estate agent with Century 21, celebrating his 41st year in business. No matter where you're moving, Henry has the right connections for you. You can contact Henry at 561 427 4888. A wrap, folks. A huge thank you to our guest for sharing such incredible insights today. And of course, a big shout out to you, our amazing listeners, for tuning in and spending your time with us. If you're interested in my digital courses, being coached, or having me come and talk to your company, just go to Michael and fill out the request form. Remember, networking isn't about being perfect, it's about being present. So take what you've learned today, get out there, and make some meaningful connections. If you've enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who could use a little networking inspiration. Let's keep the conversation going. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, or my website, forman.com/podcasts.